Loyalist Militiaman at the moment of death. The falling soldier photograph depicts a Spanish Republican soldier at the moment he was hit by a sniper. Formerly titled Loyalist Militiaman at the moment of death, the picture was taken by Hungarian-American photographer Robert Capa at Cerro Muriano on September 5, 1936, during the first months of the Spanish Civil War. When Capa was interviewed in 1947 about how he was able to capture the tragic moment, he said, quote, "I was there in the trench with about 20 milicianos. I just kind of put my camera above my head and didn't even look, and clicked the picture when they moved over the trench. And that was all. The camera above my head just caught a man at the moment when he was shot. That was probably the best picture I ever took. I never saw the picture in the frame because the camera was far above my head." Capa's fallen soldier photograph is widely regarded as one of the most incredible war pictures ever taken, but it has had its fair share of controversies since it was first published in 1936. Detailed analysis of the photo's landscape revealed that it was likely not taken at the location of the Battle of Cerro Muriano. By analyzing the mountains in the background, Spanish historians have claimed that the photo was most likely taken in the town of Espejo, 50 kilometers away from Cerro Muriano. The Spanish nationalist group, the Falange, claimed that the picture was staged. The accusation spread, and half of Spain believed the photo was false. In his book, Shadows of Photography, author José Manuel Superegui pointed out that Capa also contradicted himself during interviews when he said that the militiaman was hit by the burst of a machine gun rather than a sniper shot. Military historians later confirmed that there were no snipers during the Battle of Cerro Muriano. In 2009, hundreds of Capa's original negatives were found in Mexico and sent to the International Center of Photography in New York. Experts were surprised that there were no original negatives of the so-called falling soldier among all the photographs taken during the Spanish Civil War. The photo was mysteriously missing from the collection. Raising a flag over the Reichstag. Raising a flag over the Reichstag depicts a Red Army soldier hoisting the Soviet Union's hammer and sickle banner while an official is holding him. Along with the photograph of U.S. Marines raising the stars and stripes over Mount Suribachi during the Battle of Iwo Jima, the Reichstag picture is one of the most symbolic photos of World War II. Taken on May 2, 1945, at the top of the destroyed German Reichstag in the heart of Berlin, the photograph captured the essence of the gritty close-quarters combat to occupy the city. The Soviets had already attempted to take a similar picture on April 30th, before the Reichstag had fallen. A soldier first inserted a flag into the crown of the statue of Germania. However, it was too dark, and the photo was not taken because it lacked dramatic effect. The famous picture, shot by Soviet photographer and naval officer Yevgeny Khalday, fueled the Soviet propaganda machine and made its way across the globe with a clear message. It was Russia who defeated Nazi Germany. The image was the result of careful choreography and heavy editing. Khalday was ordered to enhance the image to make it more dramatic and representative of Soviet ideals. While processing it, Khalday had to remove one of the two watches that the official holding the flag bearer was using on his right hand. It could mislead the foreign press into thinking that the Red Army had been looting, which they had. Khalday carefully removed the watch by using a small needle on the negative. He also added smoke in the backdrop to make it look more imposing. Later versions also showed aircraft in the background and a tank in the streets. To protect the photograph's mythology, Khalday was withheld from the public eye. It was after the fall of the Soviet Union that he openly shared some secrets behind the picture. One of his revelations was that the flag in the photograph was woven by his uncle using 3 red tablecloths, because there was a shortage of Soviet flags within the Russian forces. The few flags he could get were too small for his vision. Khalday also clarified the mystery surrounding the 2 soldiers that appeared in the picture. He recounted that there was nothing special about them, and that he chose them because they were the first Soviets he saw upon arriving at the Reichstag. Valley of the Shadow of Death. Valley of the Shadow of Death is heralded as one of the first battle scene photographs ever taken. Roger Fenton, also regarded as one of the first war photographers, took the picture on April 23, 1855, during the Crimean War. Fenton was sent to the Balkans by Thomas Agnew of the publishing house Thomas Agnew & Sons. He was to document the conflict in which the English, French, and Ottoman empires went to war against Russia to block its territorial ambitions in the region. Fenton's picture depicts a dirt road in Sebastopol, Crimea, covered with scattered cannonballs. The projectiles are so abundant that they could pass as rocks, but a closer look reveals their spherical forms. The photograph gave a glimpse of the artillery's impact on the infantry and cavalry formations charging across the field during combat. The sense of emptiness was later recalled by Fenton when he returned to England. He said, quote, "In coming to a ravine called the Valley of Death, the sight passed all imagination. Round shot and shell lay like a stream at the bottom of the hollow all the way down. You could not walk without treading upon them." Fenton named the photograph Valley of the Shadow of Death, after a failed charge from the British Light Brigade during the conflict. The British referred to the zone as such in reference to Psalm 23 of the Bible and the constant shelling endured. Fenton told the media that he tried to get to the conflict site twice, but the carnage forced him to move to the rear, where he took the picture. Although Fenton rose to fame for his collection of Crimean War images, the photograph became the center of attention once a second version surfaced without the cannonballs. The famous photograph depicting a desolate no-man's land in the Crimean War may have been staged by the photographer, placing the cannonballs himself to enhance the drama. But some historians have added that it would have been impossible for Fenton to move the cannonballs, as combat raging in the vicinity would have proved too dangerous. The true nature of the photograph remains uncertain. Still, the era's sensibilities did not allow Fenton to photograph fallen men and to show the brutality of actual combat. It would contradict the poetic and heroic nature of battle as told by propagandistic agendas. Death in the Air. The sensational World War I dogfight photo was published in 1933 in the book Death in the Air, the war diary and photographs of a flying corps pilot. It was allegedly shot from a camera illegally mounted on an anonymous RFC pilot's biplane. The book was supposedly based on the war diary of a Royal Flying Corps pilot who perished during the war. The journal had no names, dates, or any information that could reveal the anonymous writer or the unit in which he served. It was only known that the pictures were owned by Mrs. Gladys Maud Cockburn Lang. The images included in the journal were so vivid, dramatic, and intense that some ex-pilots questioned their veracity. They believed that the photographs exaggerated the combat maneuvers of aerial firefights. The hoax persisted for decades until Peter M. Gross, a German aviation author, and Karl S. Schneider of the Aeronautics Department of the National Air and Space Museum debunked it in 1984. Both men found negatives of the pictures and corresponding letters that linked the images to American World War I pilot Wesley David Archer, who served in the Royal Flying Corps. After his aircraft was shot down in 1918, Archer moved to Hollywood and worked as a set designer and modeler. Further photographs from the Cockburn Lang collection show him building the models. True to form in the land of make-believe, he created the images using wires and toy planes. CSS Georgia. Lacking $175 to buy the original image, John Potter falsified a photo of the legendary Civil War-era warship CSS Georgia. The picture depicted the ironclad Confederate warship in the center, with a man in the foreground wearing an overcoat and a hat. Built with 1,200 tons of armor, the ship was too heavy and was turned into a floating gun battery. In 1864, it was scuttled when General Sherman and his Union forces took over the city of Savannah. Claiming to have taken the photo at a South Georgia yard sale in the 1980s, Potter sent it to several historians to verify its authenticity. He eventually gave the image to the Georgia Historical Society, where it became an unofficial part of the ship's history. Until 2015, it was believed that the image was the only known photograph of the CSS Georgia and one of the few pictures of a Civil War ironclad. The Army Corps of Engineers republicized Potter's photo after beginning a dredging operation to salvage the ship's wreckage. Facing renewed scrutiny, Potter admitted that there was no original photo. The image was a hoax, staged with a model in a swamp. Potter told the media that he faked the picture with his brother in 1986 when they shot an 8mm film about the CSS Georgia.